What's poppin', everybody? This is the cartoon kid Ray Rawlins, and today for our classic SpongeBob review, we're talking about a good old man, an old classic episode called Rock Bottom. Now, true OG SpongeBob fans remember this episode, but for people who don't, man, for the youngins out there who found the misfortune of clicking on this channel, Alex Payne, give them the episode breakdown before we start breaking it down.
Well, actually, after leaving Glove World, funnily enough, so realistically, this episode could take place after the episode we did earlier.
True, it can, actually.
But after a fun day at Glove World, SpongeBob and Patrick hop on the bus and miss their stop, and they end up in rock bottom. But Patrick hops on the bus and leaves without SpongeBob, so SpongeBob has to figure a way out of rock bottom. It's a pretty simple premise, really. But
actually, that was the best description you could have ever given. And for those who don't know, man, rock bottom is obviously, as it sounds, one of the worst places, one of the scary, creepiest places in Bikini Bottom. To give a quick little example. But go ahead. What is your first thought?
My first thought is, I feel like this episode is kind of like a good version of. I feel like I could watch this episode a lot of times over and not get tired of it.
I could even say the same thing.
But at the same time, I kind of do get sick of it.
You know what? I can say the same thing. Like, granted, this isn't one of my favorite. I mean, it's hard to say that. It is a good episode in itself. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's one of the episodes where I'll say, oh, man, you want to watch SpongeBob? Check this episode out. Now, I will say, once again, with us doing these classic SpongeBob reviews, man, there is a lot of freaking nostalgia coming back to this episode, because I remember once I first started watching SpongeBob, it had to be like maybe the second or third day, because I was watching SpongeBob nonstop on Nickelodeon, man. And when this episode came on, it was freaking dark out. It was a totally different feel from the SpongeBob that I was watching, you know, it being all bright, happy, colorful. And not that this, in a sense, like wasn't SpongeBob, but it had a different tone, okay? You're in this dark, scary place, rock bottom, and just the feel, the aura around this episode at the time of only being probably no more than a week into watching SpongeBob and being introduced to the series, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it at that time. And every time it came on Nickelodeon, I'm like, oh, it's rock bottom. I'm going to watch rock bottom. And it's a dope-ass episode, man. So it was cool to rewatch this again. And I guess you could say re-experience how I felt as a kid. However, you know, obviously after seeing it a bunch of times, it's obviously going to lose its luster. But we're going to save the rest of what I got to say for the review. And we're going to hop right into moments right here. Alex Payne, lead us off with some of your standout moments of the episode.
Well, the first one I gotta mention is obviously when SpongeBob's balloon is beating the fuck out of the bus driver.
Oh yeah, yep.
And I just love the freaking sound it makes, just boom, like it actually sounds like a balloon.
I wonder where the hell did he get such a freaking big ass balloon from? Like, did he win that at a if he had like enough tickets and cashed that in for a prize? Like, where did he get that gigantic ass balloon from? And why didn't Patrick have one? So,
Patrick is a fucking failure.
Nah, he's not. But, Patrick dope, man. Maybe season 6 Patrick is a failure, but not this one.
My next moment is when they freaking standing outside of the bathroom waiting for someone to come out so they could see the gen of the bathroom, and all these progressively weirder things keep coming out. And he's like, I still can't read the sign.
Shit. Those must be transgender bathrooms. That's fucked up, man. I'm sorry. I love everybody around here. But come on. I just felt the perfect setup for that joke. I had to take it. I'm sorry, okay? Spam them dislike buttons. Because I know probably somebody mad as hell. But On the real though, no, that is one of my favorite moments of this episode. It really is. That is one of my favorite because, like, you get to see the creatures that live down there in Rock Bottom, and this is nothing but weird ass sea creatures down there. It's like, whoa, where the hell am I at, man? Now, obviously, SpongeBob and Patrick never been here, never experienced this. Patrick, with him being as big as he is, he got to be looking out for his weaker little homie SpongeBob. Patrick the muscle. If anything goes down, Patrick got to get ready to throw them hands or fish paws or whatever you want to call it. But Patrick like, no, I want to go home. Like, oh, come on, Patrick. Don't puss out on us now, man. Come on, man. But then SpongeBob, I think he goes to get like a bus schedule, and the bus comes, and Patrick just dips off without his ass, man. It's like, damn, Patrick, you gonna leave your homie like that?
SpongeBob, the bus is here.
And then he starts crying, oh, SpongeBob. And SpongeBob's freaking chasing the hell out of the bus. And he should knew he's not gonna. Yeah. Well, not at that moment. That's later on in the episode. But he ends up freaking tripping up on. Have you ever been running outside and then it got you a good nice sprint in, and you kind of like trip over like the sidewalk, like the crack of the sidewalk, or you get your shoe caught on like the crack and then whoop, you go down? Because that happened to me one good time, and I'm like, oh damn. I really want to say that happened to me twice, but basically that's what happened to SpongeBob when he was chasing the bus. Obviously.
And it's like, well, just like Grandpa SquarePants said, never chase a bus, especially one that's going up at a 90-degree angle.
Man, that might be another part I might have to cut. That badass accent. But it was kind of spot on. I got to mention the food parts too. The glove candy dispenser. I can't tell you, when I heard that as a kid, I was always like fascinated. Like, what does a glove candy taste like now? You know? And then obviously.
Like a glove, genius.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. But does it taste like rubber? Does it taste like freaking a baseball glove? Like, what the hell does it taste like? Goof ass. But you gotta like the whole scene where SpongeBob basically is getting hungry and he wants to go to the candy machine. And man, that candy machine was moving slow as hell. And this is where the part where he's trying to chase all them buses and shit. And basically, the bus was just toying with him. He's like, go ahead, reach for that candy bar. And then he goes to reach for it and it just pulls off. And he tries to run at it. And then other dude just came up and just jacked his candy bar. So he's like, hey, that was mine. Like, dude just straight up came and just took his shit.
I really want to say, I mean, I would have to look at it again, but I really want to say the guy who took the candy bar was the same guy who was given the bus schedules.
I think so, honestly. I really
do think so. He had the
one
big giant eye and thing, and I think he was the same color.
Yeah, I really do think so. And it's funny, I didn't pay attention to it at the moment.
I didn't either. I'm just thinking about it now.
But I gotta say that's a good majority of my moments. Do you have any more?
I love when SpongeBob's there, when he goes to go in line and you just see this big giant grin, big giant bulbous hair looking thing, and just the sound he makes, it's like, oh god, like this weird heavy breathing type sound.
Yeah, and he gets back to he's 329th in line, and they spit this big old thing on top of him, and he just starts snapping. He just starts snapping. Obviously, you gotta like how when he's go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's funny because I noticed when he runs and slams into the wall, I noticed he's like sitting, waiting, bleeding. I never heard the bleeding before.
No, I always heard that, and that has always been like a freaking moment that's been stuck in my head of this episode ever since a kid. Because I don't think we never saw blood in this episode. Never, obviously, because it's a kid's show. But that was one thing in my mind. I was like, oh man, he's not bleeding. Why is he saying he's bleeding? You gotta mention too the whole part where he gets the glove balloon back, and homeboy's trying to help him, and he's not talking to him. And then once he's up in the sky, he's like, "You're welcome." Says this whole shit, and then
you're
welcome. And then they're not doing he didn't do none of the farting thing that was done the whole episode, the mouth farting shit. But obviously, we're gonna end it off with this, and we just basically described the whole episode to the T. But Patrick over here hops on a bus talking about, "Don't worry, SpongeBob, I'm coming back for you." Heading right back into rock bottom, man. You just left that bitch and you going back. I will give him credit. He went back for his homie though. He redeemed himself with that. But now that we're done drooling on about the whole moments for a good 20 minutes, let's get on into positives, negatives, and reviews. I'm gonna sit and let you go first because I want to see what you think of this episode.
I think this episode is good. It's a really nice, decent, funny episode. The comedy is really good. I think this is a good example of an episode that doesn't actually have a story. You just give a scenario and have a lot of good jokes throughout it.
Yeah.
For a negative, I kind of want to say maybe some more stuff that could have happened to make it a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Because certain parts and I don't know, it just felt kind of dull. I mean, I guess you could argue it's the same thing, but like as what it's supposed to represent. But like there was just some dull moments, if you ask me. So I think I'm gonna give this one. It's still a really good episode, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. With me, the main positive is that this episode demonstrates, like as you said, it's basically an episode centered around a scenario where they just toss jokes and shit in and whatnot, and that basically makes the episode. The main jokes involve SpongeBob basically trying to catch the bus in rock bottom. For some reason, they're not fucking with him, man. Okay, SpongeBob is in rock bottom trying to motherfucking hop on a bus like a black person, try to hail a cab back in the motherfucking 80s and 70s. Them cab drivers wasn't having it, okay? So motherfucking rock bottom bus drivers weren't fucking with SpongeBob. But that's fucked up. I will say though, if you want
even your scenarios in this episode, damn, the transgender bathrooms now black people chasing gas.
Nah, I mean, come on though. That's kind of what it is. Listen, you saw how that bus driver toyed with SpongeBob, man. But I will have to say this though. This is as close as you can get to a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode that kind of feels somewhat similar to the series. Because like you said, it's just mainly comedy censored. Now, obviously, it's not Courage the Cowardly Dog level, I suppose. It doesn't have that same feel. But it's the same type of way it was organized, you know. Nothing but jokes, nothing but humor. I will have to say the main thing that I really enjoyed, and I said it earlier, is the fact that with me being really new into SpongeBob when I seen this episode for the first time, it offered a different feel, more darker feel, that most SpongeBob fans wouldn't be used to experiencing all the time. Okay, like I said, usually episodes are happy, colorful. Of course, some may have more sad or more strong undertones, but this had a nice, creepy, weird vibe to it, especially with them creatures coming out of those bathrooms and whatnot, and the big, heavy breathing monsters and whatnot. Okay, they had motherfucking SpongeBob in rock bottom like a motherfucking white person in the projects, feeling all weird and uncomfortable up in that bitch. But I will have to say, overall, I'm gonna give this episode a nice 7.5, man. 7.5 out of 10. Good nostalgia kick. And this episode was straight fire. Okay, that's pretty much it, man. But with all that being said, man, I'm the cartoon kid, Ray Rawlins. I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10, and he's Alex Payne. He gives this episode a 7 out of 10, and that has been our review for Rock Bottom from SpongeBob SquarePants. Good old classic retro episode, man. Y'all know what this is, man. This is the Cartoon Kid channel where we talk cartoons and we do it daily, baby. And if you have any opinions on this episode, man, toss your opinions down in the comments box below. Tell us if you liked it. Tell us if you hate it. And tell us if you have any other episodes that you would like us to review. But with all that being said, we will see you when we see you. Peace out, everybody.